Yesterday I woke up sucking on lemon. Yesterday I woke up sucking on lemon. Yesterday I woke up sucking on lemon. Yesterday.
Planning and preparation is one of 3 major keys to having success in your winter running training program. I believe that planning is one of the greatest things that you can do and the greatest competitive advantages that you can have as an endurance athlete in the off-season in the winter. I believe it's super important to go into your off-season with some sort of plan, because typically if you don't, it's the winter, it's cold. If I don't have a plan, I'm not going to run nearly as much as I need to, and I'm not going to do the necessary things to get where I want to be in the new year. I have a couple of things in front of me and to the side here that are my main tools for planning any season of running, but especially the off season. Number one, we're going to talk about, this is just a notebook that I use. This is going to contain all of my training plans, goals, and workouts for my entire off season right here in this notebook. Now this can be anything, this can be a sheet of paper, this can be whatever you want, but I start out with a couple of goals and splitting up into phases, and then each week, or should I say each month, I will go and I'll plan out whatever it is, 4 or 5 weeks, and I'll write down in this notebook each workout that I'm going to do, my mileage goals, and my paces. This is going to be more of my long-term storage for all of my training plans, anything over a month away that I don't keep just in my head or in my phone. I'm going to keep in this notebook so it's written out and I can reference it whenever I need. Alongside that, I also use the Notes app on my phone extensively when planning my longer term goals, my yearly goals, 2 years, and how I'm going to get there. So I have this note on my phone, and it's just titled Races Schedule. And it has all of the races that I want to do within the next year, even out to 1.5 or 2 years. I got quite a few on here right now, but it's important to have this note for me so I know what races I have coming up, the date, the goal, and if I've registered or not. So right now I have one at the top of the list. It is a half marathon. The date is April 12th. My goal is 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I registered for it already. Also, in this note, I keep a running tab of my mileage goals for the year. So I have 2025 running mileage as a section, and I have each month listed out, each week, what I would ideally like to hit. Now this isn't a hard limit or anything like that, because things do happen. You get sick, you get hurt, you take a vacation, but this is in an ideal world. I map out 52 weeks worth of mileage goals, and I mark them off as I complete those weeks. Now the third thing I have set in front of me here is the book. This is the 4th edition of Daniel's Running Formula by Jack Daniels, and I think this is a super important thing to have when you're planning your training, especially if you don't come from a coaching background or have extensive exercise science education like myself. Go out and get a book, 20 or 30 bucks. This book has training principles and tips. It has approaches to training. It has exercise science in there. It has VDOT tables, workout examples. And so this book is really my source of truth. This is what I use to determine what paces I should be training at. This book is a great source, has a lot of examples of weekly workouts that you can do, and just a bunch of tips and theories in here as well. So if you're trying to plan your off season, you don't have a super great background in coaching and exercise science, any of that, pick up a book like this. There's plenty of them out there. There's marathon specific ones, there's any sort of book you want. But this is a great resource to use for any distance. You can do 800 up to ultra marathon. Get somebody who knows what they're doing. They've already done the work for you. Spend the $30, pick up the book, and it has all the workouts in there already for you.
Yesterday I woke up sucking a lemon. Yesterday I woke up sucking a lemon. Yesterday I woke up sucking a lemon. Yesterday I woke up sucking.
All right, so when it comes to off-season running, winter running, persistence is always the name of the game for me, and that's for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is it's cold, and I'm in the Midwest, and so it gets kind of deathly cold here in the winter. And when you have months where you're just going out in 20, 30 degrees and you have to bundle up and go for your run and it's windy and it kind of sucks, persistence is super important. You're going to be at this for a while, and that brings me kind of to point number two, in that you don't have races on the schedule typically until the spring. Now, unless you're running indoor track meets or something like that, winter is a time where you go probably 12 to 18 weeks and you have nothing between fall and spring. And so it's important to kind of keep your mind in the right place, and persistence is the word I like to use. And one way that I like to think about it is that when you go out in the winter, when you have these cold days, the days where the weather sucks, when it's dark, when you're tired, that's going to be a benefit to you when it comes to that time in the spring when you're racing and it's a perfect day, it's good weather. Or on the flip side, when you're racing and you have to say yes to commit in the later parts of that race, that's when I think the winter running and being persistent and going out in the cold, going out in the snow, that's when it really benefits you, is when it gets tough when you're racing in the spring and you have to commit and you say, okay, I've done this before. If I can go out in 15 degrees and snow and wind, I can do anything. So that's where I think persistence comes into play, especially for when you're looking forward to races in the spring and in the summer. Summer running, in an aspect where there's going to be days when the weather sucks and you're super busy and you just don't want to go out and run, and that's okay if you have a day like that every once in a while. If you go out there and it's just not happening, sometimes it's more beneficial mentally and physically to just scrap the day, come back tomorrow. But that's part of being persistent too, is not saying, oh, I had a bad day yesterday, so now I'm going to scrap the week, or I'm going to scrap the month, or everything's going bad. Is coming back the next day and being consistently good. You want to be consistently good every day, or as close as you can to that, rather than occasionally great. So you don't want to get stuck in the loop of, oh, I had a great workout and then I had a horrible week and a half, then I had another great workout, and think that that's going to get you to where you want to be. You'd rather say, oh, I had an okay workout and I had a pretty good easy run and I had a decent long run, and oh, I had a bad easy run, but then I showed up the next day. And it's being consistent throughout the winter, that 12 or 18 weeks where it really sucks when it's cold and you still have to go out and do it. That's when persistence is going to take you really far and give you a lot of benefits.
Colors in my head there. I see colors in my head. What is that you tried to say? What was that you tried to say?
When it comes to injury prevention, in my mind, there's really only two things that you need to think about. Thing number one is recovering after your workouts. This is stretching, this can be foam rolling or easy running. And this is why so many people on the internet like to emphasize zone 2 running. And it's not just for the endurance benefits. I think this part of injury prevention is super important. And it means that you have your big workout days, you have your long runs, but then after the fact, you're doing everything you can to recover and give your body a chance to build itself back up again after a hard effort. And this is what most people think about when they think about injury prevention, and for good reason. If you go too hard too often, you are going to end up with overuse injuries. You are going to end up with shin splints or knee problems, or pulled torn ligament or muscles or anything like that. And so taking it easy and making sure you're doing your foam rolling, your stretching, whatever works for you, that's going to help keep you injury free after your big hard efforts. Some of the things I like to do, I like to foam roll. I don't do it a ton because when I do it too much, I find it doesn't really help me. But also sleeping, making sure you're getting enough sleep is super important to help your body recover. I try to get 8 hours of sleep per night. Anywhere in that 7 to 9 hour range is going to give you, crazy benefits. If you're coming from, I get 5 or 6 hours a night, and now I'm getting 7 to 9, you're going to see real benefits. So part one of injury prevention is simple. It's just recovering, giving your body a chance to build itself back up after your big efforts, doing things like foam rolling, stretching, taking a nap, and eating well. Now, the second part of injury prevention is something that used to not be talked about as much, but in today's day and age on the internet, it's being talked about a lot more, which is a good thing, and that's your strength work. So it's not just enough to do your running workouts and build your volume and then recover afterwards. That'll get you fit, that'll get you in shape, but you need more to build a strong, resilient body and joints and muscle to help keep you able to hit that high volume and high intensity more often. And what this means is that we need to be doing some sort of strength training as endurance athletes. This doesn't mean that you need to be going to the gym 4 days a week and squatting super heavy and bench press and deadlift. You can do that if you like. That's perfectly okay, but you need to be doing something to load your body and your muscles in a different way than running can provide. So something that I'm planning on doing in the future, I've been doing this for the past few years. Every single day I do a run. I pick from one of 3 or 4 different strength routines. They take me 10 or 15 minutes. You can do them at home. You can do them in your living room like I do. And they're super easy, but they're super beneficial just for general upkeep of your joints and your muscles. And something else you can do if you're getting more into it and you're beyond just general maintenance strength is you can get a couple weights. You can actually start going to the gym once or twice a week. I wouldn't suggest doing specific running-based strength training any more than 2 times a week, Monday and Friday, maybe on your workout days. But this means actually doing exercises that will activate the muscles that you use while running. So this means loading up a bar and doing some squats, doing some weighted lunges, doing step-ups, box jumps, plyometrics. There's a whole world of strength training out there, but it's important if you want to increase performance and prevent injuries. You need to make those muscles and those tendons stronger in the gym so that when you go for a run, you're not loading them as much and you're used to it. But those are the big 2 things that go in injury prevention. It's recovery and it's strength training. You're letting your muscles recover from running, and then you're loading them in different ways to make them more resilient when you do run. Those are my 3 keys to succeeding in your off-season or your winter running. And those are 3 keys that I'm going to take with me through the next couple of months as I'm preparing for my spring and my summer and my fall races. It's injury prevention, it's persistence, and it's planning. It's pretty simple, but those are 3 keys.